Appreciate it. Hey, thank you for that sitting ovation. That was so encouraging to get those for sure. How are you guys doing? You good? Good. Wow, somebody's a clapper over there. I'll tell you, I'm going to just turn my chair that way. I tell you what. Well, good. We're going to talk about something today that's very near and dear to my heart and my family's heart, and most likely a lot of you all's hearts. And it's something that I really never gave a intentional thought to growing up. So my family and I, we've always grown up in church, and you do the church thing, and you go as often as you can so that you can end up not like on the second floor in heaven, but try to get closer to like 9th, 10th floor, something with a view, right? You try to do your attendance thing, right? And every once in a while, there's something that the church does together, and you lend a hand with that, and you do this, and maybe you pick up a hitchhiker every once in a while. Kids don't do that, but you pick up somebody that needs to go somewhere, and you just kind of unintentional things that you do along the way. And so when Aaron said, "Hey, do you want to preach on this subject?" I thought, man, yeah, I would love to. Now, time out. I didn't put together the fact that there was going to be 20 people living in my house from Wednesday till this morning. So that really, and I haven't been the best house host because my brain's been kind of on, I don't want to talk about this is what, nope, that's not it. Lord, you don't want me to use any of that? Okay, great. Well, I'll just start over. So he's funny like that. So I was riding down the road, I think it was just yesterday morning, and kind of the whole thing of what I was thinking about, talking about kind of shifted and changed, and I was like, oh, that's it. I like it. I like it a lot. So are you guys ready? You good? You guys walk in here, as all of us do, in a certain stage in life. So sometimes you walk in and you're just on top of the moon, right? Like you're just, oh my gosh, like we just had Thanksgiving. I went to 4 different turkey dinners. Like I gained 8 pounds nobly in a good way. Like it's worth it, and it was good food. And you're on top of the world. Some of you are going to walk in here today, and maybe the holiday seasons are rough. And for some of us, they are, family stuff, or people that we miss, or relationships that are gone. It's really hard for us. So some of us walked in that back door like that. We might have given a smile and, hey, I'm great. But we truly walked in that way. And some of us are in the middle somewhere. We're kind of neutral, right? We're like, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, how's things going? Oh, I'm good, man. Things are good, right? Anybody ever been there? You're fine, right? And so here's what I want to say to you this morning, really, before we get started, is that you walked in how you walked in, and God watched you walk in. He watched you this morning get in the car, and you kind of made that choice of like, oh man, but I could, downtown Charleston's probably really, the weather's kind of nice for this time, right? You got those decisions. We could have an amazing brunch right now because all the people are at church, right? We could probably get into the best restaurant in town, but you made the choice. You drove here, you walked up the front, right? You probably got greeted or said hello to somebody, and you came in and you sat down, and there was some stuff going on the screens, and you kind of thought, here we go, right? And some of you came in going, I really need to hear something. I need something. God, is this the Sunday that I hear something, right? Some of you came in and went, I'm actually really good. Like this is just, I'm so excited to be here, and you get to pour out to people. You get to like high five people and say, hey man, how are you doing? You're not, let's go to coffee later. Like you're at that stage, and some of you are kind of in that middle where we find ourselves a lot, where it's just kind of good. And I want to almost caution you to that today. So if you came in here today and you're like, I really want to get something, I want to tell you something. Be open, right? Because God's here to pour out to you. I really, really believe that each time you have an interaction like this, God is here to pour out. He's here for every one of us, and there's something. It could be just one word he has me say. It could be one verse of a song. It could be one person in the hallway. It has nothing to do with this room at all, right? Or it could be the whole message, the whole thing, the whole experience. But I believe he's here to pour out to you, but we have to be open. And sometimes it's the hardest to be open when we're just in this neutral place. Like, things are good. I'm good. I'm just going to come in and sit down, do my thing, and it's going to be awesome, and then we're going to go to lunch afterwards, which is the best part of Sunday, right? So be careful if you're in that neutral zone. Sometimes we're in that broken zone. We're like, just pour me up, right? Our lid's off. We're that vessel. God's like, yeah, fill her up, man. You need it today. So go with me today, and it's a conversation. God has conversations with us, and conversations, the best ones at least, they're two-way, right? Somebody's talking, and you're listening, and then you're talking, and hopefully they're listening, right? So remember for that two-way conversation today, and just be ready to hear something. Do you want something today? Are you ready for like a word today? Do you want to hear something today? Is that safe to say, right? Awesome. Well, I want to pray for us real quick, and I want to pray with you, all right? And so what that means is that I'm not going to stand here and pray a prayer that I've thought up, and you're going to just listen. I want you to pray for yourself while I'm praying. And that might just be to yourself. It might be a mumble. You might pray out loud. I really don't care. You're not going to offend anybody here. But pray with me as I pray with us today, because I do believe that God wants to speak to you today, and I do know, right, that when you pray for it and when you're ready for it and your heart's open and you take the lid off that vessel, he's like, oh man, I can do something with that. So you ready? Let's pray. God, thank you so much for getting us all here. Thank you that, man, we get to be in this place and we get to hear your word, get to hear things that you've got for each and every one of our lives, Father. And man, we're just humbled by that. We have busy lives and we go, and so many things are so important, but then all of a sudden we find ourselves in a room filled with people that you love so much, and we're in that room. And Father, I just pray today that hearts that might find it difficult, hearts that might find it difficult to listen or difficult to think they're worth it, Father, I pray that they just understand that they are so worth your words to them, Father. So God, I just pray that you direct my words and that you leave out the ones that you don't want me to speak, and that you give me just your word this morning, Father, in the name of Jesus. Amen. Good stuff. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to try to tell you a story. This is a favorite story of mine, and it's about a guy named Leon. And Leon, thank you, babe. This lady right here, man, I'll tell you what, she's good. Woke up with a sore throat this morning. I was like, yep, that sounds about right. I must be speaking today. So Leon grew up like a lot of us did, right? Mom, dad, household, worked hard, grew up in a rural area, worked with his hands. And I'm going to tell you his story through the eyes of a coworker, one of his coworkers, okay? And this coworker went to work with him and showed up every day, and there was something different about this guy. You know those types of people, right? You run into him, you're like, wow, I don't even know that guy's name, but he's something else. And he was a strong person. You could tell by the way he presents himself. He was always very kind, right? Never really complained. And this coworker day after day worked with him and would come home and tell stories of Mr. Leon. Right? Come home and that coworker would say, man, just today, this one person was doing this and was kind of yelling at him because something in the store that they didn't like, or they wanted to return something that wasn't returnable. And Mr. Leon just takes it in stride. And he says, well, I'm really sorry. And he helps him to the best of his ability. But every day, Mr. Leon would say, well, I've got to go home for my lunch break. And he only got a half an hour. But he lived right across from this rural store. And he would go home every day and he would tend to his little nephew. Co-worker would say, oh, all right, well, great. So he'd go home, and from what she could understand, he would make a little lunch for himself in the short amount of time he had, and he would tend to his little nephew. And she just figured there was a little 6 or 8 year old feral child running around at home, and he would go home and feed this kid or help the babysitter with the kid or whatever that looked like. And as the months went on, it was his regular practice. And she never noticed him take a vacation. She never noticed him talk about himself. She only noticed him talk about his family, and especially his little nephew. I got to go home and tend to my little nephew. A few months went by, and got a little bit of the story, a little bit at a time, because when you're standing at a cash register and the door's opening and shutting and people are coming through the lines, right, shopping, birthday shopping, holiday shopping, trying to find things for their house, it's a little busy. But as she found out was that little nephew wasn't so little. When little nephew was 8 years old, he was involved in a car accident with his mom, and his mom passed away, and that was 25 years before. So little nephew was 33 years old. The little nephew survived, but during the surgery, he actually lost all the use from the neck down. So he was, I guess you call it a quadriplegic. He was in bed. He was there with them, but he needed to be turned every day, about every 3 or 4 hours. So Mr. Leon would go home and he would turn little nephew, and he would feed him, and he'd come back to work, and sometimes he'd take a break, and he'd go, I better go home and check on little nephew because he's today he wasn't doing so well, so I'm going to go home and every day for 25 years. For 25 years, Mr. Leon did this. He got the job across the street from his house because, well, that would allow him to go home and take care of his little nephew. 25 years. Little nephew passed away a few months after they met, a few months after the coworker and Mr. Leon met, and Mr. Leon took a week off. That was rough for him. He came back in with a smile on his face, right? And a handshake and a hello to anybody that came in the door. And as the weeks went on, he started to talk about it a little bit more. His little nephew had gotten a respiratory infection and rushed him to the hospital and just couldn't quite save him this time. So 25 years of turning this little nephew 4, 5, 6 times a day, living with his mom and his aunt, right? That's all Mr. Leon did. He never got married. He never had a life outside of this. This is what he did day in and day out. And as he was talking to his coworker, he said, my buddy came over the other day. He's got a big RV. He's got some money. He's got a big RV, and he travels all the time. And I've always thought, what would it be like to travel? I think I might do that. I think I might go on a trip and travel. What do you think about that? Coworker said, I think it'd be a really cool idea. We're going to talk about serving today. Serving. I can't think of a better story. And it's hard for me to get through that story because it immediately makes me self-examine. It makes me self-examine my wants and my desires and how important I am. And this verse came, my wife actually said this verse. She said, the thing that sounds like is John 15:13. I don't have it for up there, but greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. And that is perfect. You hear that verse and you go, yeah, what does that look like and what does that mean? And we're not all called to have a little nephew in our life. Some of us are, but some of us, we serve in all kinds of different ways. But that was it for Mr. Leon. So we're going to talk about serve today, and we're not really going to talk too much about how. Typically when you talk about this, you maybe push an event that's coming up, or you talk about this is what it looks like, and I like to separate it a little bit almost like into an active type of serving and a passive type of serving. This is our church, right? This is our family right here, and so we're going to do active things. We've got a Nicaragua trip coming up in January, and it's kind of something you agree to do, and it's on your radar, and it's on your calendar, right? And it's something that you're going to go and do. Maybe it's a food drive. We have the toy drive out front, right? That's an active thing to go, oh, hey, let's make sure we do that. But I also want to talk about almost what's happened to it. What's happened to us serving as a church, but also, as good people. But where is that gone? So not going to, again, go through so much of the how, but going to talk a little bit more about the why and the why don't we. Because that's really what challenged me about Mr. Leon's story there. So 1 John 3:16 through 18. We know what real love is because Jesus gave up his life for us. So also ought to give up our lives for our brothers and sisters. If someone has enough money to live well and sees a brother or sister in need but shows no compassion, how can God's love be in that person? Dear children, let's not merely say that we love each other. Let us show the truth by our actions. I would say Mr. Leon has shown the truth by his actions year after year after year with a great attitude. He never complained. He never said, I can't believe I have to do this. Why did God strap me with this? She never noticed that, right? But through his actions, she did that. It is so challenging in here where it says, how can God's love be in that person if they're not serving, if they're not seeing need in somebody, and if they're not doing something about it? It's very challenging, right? It's very challenging. But I want to bring up two things. Two of the things that hit me of why don't we. I'm a bit of a thinker. You'll notice that because I have this thinking face, which looks like I'm really angry at the world, but I'm really not. Like I'm super happy, but I do have one of those faces. So you'll catch me thinking sometimes and be like, man, Jared was in a bad mood today. Give me some grace. I was probably just thinking about something, and it was probably really brilliant, just so you know. But there's two things that I really thought about and kind of started searching for those. Hey, why don't we? And I'm not saying that we don't. Just hear me when I say this. I'm preaching to myself and hoping you guys get something out of this, okay? But why don't we? Why is serving other people not really like a go-to for us? Why isn't the first thing we wake up in the morning and go, oh, I'm starved. Let me go find somebody to feed. right? Because we do take care of ourselves, right? We do take care of number one. And I believe that there's two different things that really drive us for that. One of them I read in this book. Aaron gave me this book, I think a few of us the other day, and I started reading it. If you know me, I will literally, typically I've probably have picked up and read about 200 books, and actually, if you put all the pages of what I actually read together, it's probably about 5. Like, I read 2 or 3 pages, and I'm like, this book's amazing, I got to get back to this, and then I never do. But luckily, the part that I'm going to read is on the first page. So, you just laugh all you want to. Who reads 5 books a week? Don't raise your hand if you do. But this challenged me, and I think this is one of the reasons, I know that this is one of the reasons why we will find ourselves and go, yeah, why isn't this a steady rhythm in our life? Why isn't this something that where that's my first go-to thing? And for some of us it is, for some of you it is, but why isn't it my go-to thing? And this book is called Everyday Church, and it 2 guys have written it, and it talks about kind of where the church is at the moment in time, where it's been, kind of where it's evolved to, and how active people are in it, and where church fits into people's lives, and really, more importantly, where it's not fitting into their lives. And so, literally halfway down first page, the second half of this sentence says, the Christian gospel has moved from the center of our culture to the margins. I'll read that again. The Christian gospel has moved from the center of our culture to the margins. So if we take the last couple thousand years, that's probably all I'll ever read of that book, but somebody should read it to me. If you take the last couple thousand years and you look at it and you go, oh, the church was started, we look at Acts, right? We've referred to Acts quite a bit in this series, the book of Acts, and we say, man, that's where the church started. And what did the church look like? And I got the chance to go to Israel this year and stand near one of the tabernacles. I mean, some of the original foundation stones were still there from Jesus' time, which is just crazy. I stood on one, and it was just like, there's no way to really put that into words. But we're standing there, and you're at the temple, and there's old walls just snaked through. I mean, not much bigger than this whole building and area here, and they haven't unearthed all of it yet. If they just dig down 4 feet, it's all still there. But you'll see the walls to all these little houses. And these houses might, be as big as this clump of chairs or half as big or whatever, and little alleyways that go between. And you could imagine being alive in that time and kind of looking over and going, yeah, John's not even up yet, man. You can tell, like, somebody go get him up. But they lived this life together. And so looking at that, we would say, hey, the gospel, when Jesus dying and the church starting, you would say the gospel became a pretty central part of a lot of communities. And if you look into Acts, especially chapter 2, it would say when somebody needed something, you go, oh, all right, let me go sell this and let me help them out. And the church was a constant every day. They ate together daily. They wept together daily, right? They helped each other, and if somebody needed something, they came together and they gave somebody something. So you look at that now, and you kind of look at how we just naturally live now, and you would say, yeah, that's true. The gospel was very strong and very central part of the world back then, and it has marginalized. It has gone away. If the word marginalized would say it's kind of in the peripheral. It's kind of in the peripheral. It's like that guy at work, right? He's just, yeah, I have to work with him, but he's not really who I go to. He's not my go-to. He's the third person I'll ask a question to, right? So the gospel has become to be marginalized, and one of the things on the third page, because I did get that far, that I read in there was, if you think about it, back in the day, let's say 100 years ago, if you're in your home, let's say you're in England, and a guy knocks on the door with a white collar, right, a priest, and he knocks on the door. Hey, what's going on? Come on in. Let me get you tea. Like, hey, Harold, put the tea on. Like, the priest is here. What can we do for you? Is everything okay? And that wouldn't have been that long ago, maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago. But if we think about it now, when that happens, we go, you raising money? Right? Let's be honest, right? Oh my gosh. We really don't want that in our home. We're safely put in our place of, not today. And there's lots of reasons we won't get into. There's shame reasons. Awkward. You can't come in right now, right? I don't want you to see into my life right now. There's other reasons we've been hurt, or we grew up in church and this was this way and we don't want that in our lives, and whatever it may be. But if you think about it, the further we get from the gospel, isn't that the further we get from serving each other? Right? So if we've marginalized ourselves, if the gospel has marginalized somewhere out here to a peripheral thing in our lives, are we getting further away or closer to serving everybody we know and don't know better? Probably getting further away from that, right? And if you couple that with this great, amazing country we live in, which is the country of where dreams come true, the American dream is you can be anything you want to be and you can have whatever you want to have, right? And there's pressure there. There's pressure to, bless you, there's pressure to have a big house. There's pressure to have nice cars. I love nice cars, right? I love them. There's pressure for that. So what if we took those two things together, and the gospel's already a little bit in our peripheral, and then there's the drive to be more and more and more and more, and be more and have more in America, because that's what makes you really good and successful and awesome. Seems like those two things working together can make it really just hard for us. Like, let's be honest, it's hard for us, right? Does that make sense? So I would say that would almost be the state of the church would be kind of marginalized in our lives, right? And the state of our lives would be, you can be anything that you want to be. And I've lived that life. I mean, I grew up with something to prove, like a lot of us did. I grew up not the best kid. I grew up with a family, an immediate family that told me that, and the aunts and uncles and all that stuff, and my mom talking on the phone, this kid, all that stuff. And I mean, I was bad, but there's worse kids out there. But so I grew up with something to prove, and luckily I proved it in a way that was better than other ways. It was through, I'm going to be successful, and I'm going to prove to you that I'm not that kid. But that was also it was the American dream. It was, I'm going to retire at this age, and I'm going to get rich, and we're going to buy stuff, and everybody's going to love it, and everybody's going to look at me, and I didn't know this at the time, but everybody's going to look at me and go, whoa, we were wrong about that one. And one of the things I was most proud of was my Uncle Mike, he's huge, worked for the gas company in D.C. growing up, just this giant of a man. And I remember the day he looked at me and said, man, we were wrong about you. And that was one of my favorite things I ever heard. But it also, now that I look back, uncovers I was just living that American dream of, let me prove. Now, we went to church and everything else, but as far as serving others, it just kind of happened sometimes. It just kind of happened. And don't we think that it's a little more exciting to go on a Nicaragua trip than it is to say hello to somebody downtown? Hey, how you doing, man? Sit down with a homeless guy or a non-homeless guy. How's it going, man? How you doing? I think we think of serving and we go, oh, here we go, man. We're gonna be baking bread and putting together meals 4 days a week, and I really honestly don't have time for that. I realize that. But look at the way that Mr. Leon served. Look at the way that somebody serves when you walk in here and somebody just walks by you and says, hey, how's it going? Man, you look fresh. That's serving somebody, especially when they don't look fresh. But that's serving somebody, right? How do we serve our family? You know that old saying, you want to change the world? Start with your family, and then your neighborhood, right? And then your county, your town, your state, your country, and then the world. Most of us are not just going to go and change the world, but what if we started with our family, right? The other morning, my wife had to go to work early. It's Black Friday, which she was so pumped because she's a morning person. I'm lying through my teeth right now. And she had to get up early. Her family was in town. And I'm like, well, it stinks, why don't you just quit that job? So no, but she had to get up early, and she got up, and she was getting ready. And I try when I have time in the morning to make her breakfast because people need to eat, right? And so and this is horrible, but I know that I'm preaching on serving this morning, right? And so I'm halfway not really with it because I'm sleeping, and I'm good at that. And I'm sitting there, I'm sleeping, and she goes in here getting ready, and I'm like, no, Jared, you have to, yeah, but it's really early. This is Black Friday morning. It was like 5 a.m. Usually it's like 6 or something, right? So, and I'm really pushing myself, not literally, like figuratively, emotionally pushing myself to make a good decision based on what I'm preaching on this morning. And I'm sleeping, and I finally was like, okay, I'm going to do it. Right? So I got out and, slippers and sweatpants and everything else, and I get to and she, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to go make you breakfast. She's like, you don't have to do that. Are you sure? Right? But I literally, that was a little something in me that went, you're going to preach, and here's the thing, if I never had the dilemma, she'd have had a warm breakfast that morning. But I sat there going, but I do love her. It's not this doesn't mean I don't love her. This just means I love sleep more right now. That's all this means. It's not so bad. But I felt so bad, and she texted me later and told me how hungry she was, and I tried tried to make you know how it, guys. Just gonna zip it right there, right? But I want you to really just look for it. This isn't like a how-to. This isn't, this week do these 4 things and then you will be on at least the 3rd floor in heaven. Like this is really a state of mind to go, what would that look like? And we all can serve people in different ways. I mean, some of us are the high five. What's going on, man? How you doing? Man, you look fresh. Some of us do that. Some of us would see somebody sitting in here alone and come over and go, hey, how's it going? Have you ever been here before? Oh, man, my name's Jared, man. Welcome. Can I do anything for you? You need a glass of water or anything? That's a hospitality type thing, right? Some of us might overhear somebody that needs something and go, hey, somehow, some way, I'm going to get that to them without them knowing that it's me. Like, can you drop this off at their house because I heard they need it? And we had people that used to do that when I was growing up for my mom. She couldn't afford the registration for the car and all kinds of stuff, single mom. And out of nowhere, somebody would have heard about it somehow, and it would get paid, right? And they never wanted anybody to know, right? And little did they know that $35 registration for her car kept her my mom was a workaholic, but kept her driving us 90 miles an hour to school every morning because she's always late. We were always in the car waiting. She was late. And, sorry, baggage triggers, but that kept us going to school, right? That kept her going to work. And here I am talking about 30 years later, and we still don't know who that person was that would pay those kind of things. Isn't that just crazy? They didn't want the fanfare. What do we want now as Americans? Sorry, the developed world maybe, not just Americans. I'm hard on us sometimes, but Nicaragua, we're feeding hungry kids. Okay, can we go back? Do we have air conditioning at the hotel? Like, that's what we want sometimes, right? We want to look like a success. We want to look like a brand. We're taught to brand ourselves. We're taught to go, look, oh man, he must be doing well. Look at that car, right? I mean, since we're young, I get it. I got it, right? But what if nobody knew about the good stuff we did? How much better would that be? Oh my gosh. And what if somehow we woke up every day and we went, all right, Lord, like, I don't care what it looks like. Just, man, put me in a position today where I get to serve somebody. I've prayed that before because I've realized, whoa, I have served myself very well for the past month. And I hate it. I hate it. And when I hear a story like this Mr. Leon guy, I go, oh, I'm 40. Think of 40 years of missed opportunity. Just missed opportunity. Just things that I haven't done, especially the ones I remember, like cooking my wife breakfast that morning. There'll be a day when it comes around where I go, oh, wish I'd done that, right? Wish I'd done this, wish I'd done that. So in summary, when we're constantly told that we deserve more, always challenged to be more, we fail to realize just how much we already are and already have to be thankful for. This becomes a barrier to giving others something to be thankful for. And if our calling in life is to love extravagantly, serve others well, and ultimately be Christ's hands and feet to the lost and found in this world, how can these happen if we're too busy serving ourselves? We're too busy serving ourselves because we don't, by definition, appreciate how much we've already been served, because he first loved us. We're going to go into this Advent series, and somewhere along the line, you're going to have a moment, and you're going to go, oh, that's right. It's not just a movie Mel Gibson did. It's not just on the flannel graph when I was a kid in Sunday school. It's, whoa, gosh, it's what my world should revolve around. Instead, it's out in the margins somewhere. Our drive for the American dream, coupled with the slow and steady marginalization of Christianity, has unfortunately spiraled us into seeing our neighbor, but not serving them. More stuff, more experiences, more feels, more wealth, more security, more square footage, more me, more. Doesn't it all make sense? The American dream of religious freedom has resulted in just that. And just that has resulted in a race to be the most. And the race to be the most has sadly often replaced the Most High. As you leave today, I want you to remember Mr. Leon, and just think, man, how could I be a little bit like that? How could I exist a little bit like that in my life? How could I work at a regular job, be kind of a regular guy? Probably never going to get to go to Europe. I'm probably possibly not going to retire from what I understand of his story. But he's just happy. He gets to serve people all day long. You stand with me? Are you a Leon? At home, at work, in traffic? Could you be? Would you like to be? Do stories like his with everyday service to others still exist in today's world of hustle and bustle? I would say that they do. As a matter of fact, they do. His story still unfolds today. Nearly every day, Leon can be found proudly donning a red vest, kindly manning a cash register, right across the street from his little house in bustling downtown Allendale, South Carolina. Mr. Leon works at Tractor Supply with my wife. And he's not only served little nephew well, but he's served her well with kind words, encouragement, always helping somebody with something. She just stands in awe of this guy. Because we find ourselves, my family, in a place of not quite living the American dream everybody dreams of and the one I was hoping to build. She's got that job and she gets to work with an American hero every day. One like I've never seen. So I'd encourage you to take a drive down to Tractor Supply one day and walk in the front door and test me on this, and you'll be blown away. His story will probably never end up in a history book. It'll never be a Hallmark movie, but it's y'all's story. You know it. And I want to be like him one day. So let me ask you. The last part of that verse said, "Dear children, let's not merely say that we love each other. Let us show the truth by our actions." Who will you serve well? Who's it going to be? You got yourself, you got your family, you got others, and you get to choose. We get to choose every day. Pray with me, would you? God, thank you so much. Thank you for your words that are always true. Thank you for your children that grow up to become men like that we get to look up to. Not just in fictional books, but right down the street, working on a cash register. He's happier, he's very fulfilled, and he's very content with what you've given him in life, Father, and all he does is try to pour out to everybody else. Father, I pray that this message exists in our hearts for our life, and man, I pray that we just move closer and closer to being your hands and feet. When people look at us, that they see you. Amen.